guys, this is System 32 here coming back at you with another video. Today we are going to be reviewing Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. If you guys like my content, go ahead and click that red button on my channel and go ahead and give me a subscribe, and like the video and comment down below on your thoughts and suggestions on how I can improve my content, and also what types of videos and other content you like to see on the channel. Enjoy the video. Rainbow Six is one of the most recognized series in gaming for its real-world tactics and realistic gameplay scenarios. With 21 releases so far, the series definitely has a strong grounded place in the gaming industry, with many of the later titles in the series focusing on realistic terrorist threat situations, cooperative gameplay, and tactics, such as Rainbow Six Raven Shield.
Move out! Come on!
Rainbow Six Lockdown. And the beloved Rainbow Six Vegas series. And that's just to name a few of the games in the series. The most recent title in the series, though, takes a different but welcomed approach to gameplay, this time opting out of a single-player experience, but instead trading off for a well-rounded and a pleasurable multiplayer experience. Rainbow Six Siege was a disappointing yet fresh experience when it first released way back in 2015. The game had a fairly small player base that stayed dedicated to the game and wished to see it through to the end. With the game receiving many updates that fix issues with balancing and many new operators added to the game, Rainbow Six Siege has become one of the most popular titles to be played on PC, while also obtaining a sizable console audience and an ever-growing esports scene that competes with the likes of more established esports titles like Counter-Strike. Now that you know what Rainbow Six Siege is, let's get into the review of this title. First up are the graphics. Rainbow Six Siege has some very impressive textures, from weapon models and overall environment. Even though the game may not have the level of detail seen in games such as The Witcher 3 and recent titles in the Battlefield series, it's still overall very impressive for a multiplayer exclusive title, with dynamic shadows and lighting effects really grabbing your attention in game and creating an immersive enough experience. Animations are also very well done. Next up is the performance. Siege is a very well optimized game, being able to run at smooth frame rates even on lower end budget builds, doing so by really taking advantage of graphical RAM available and squeezing every possible frame with whatever available hardware. Running the game on a GTX 970 and an i5 4600 and 16GB of RAM, I had zero issues achieving a smooth and playable frame rate at high settings. Performance does vary by hardware, but so long as you have 2GB of graphical RAM available for the card you are running and a decent CPU, you should have no issues running the game. I'll be sure to post a list of the required specs in the video description below for you guys. Next up is the sound. The sound of Rainbow Six Siege has an interesting design not seen in most other games, that being dynamic sound propagation in a destructible environment. There are three main concepts to this design: reflection, which is when a sound bounces off surfaces; absorption, which is when a sound passes through a wall but absorbs certain frequencies along the way; and diffraction, which is when a sound travels around objects. Even though this may be the way everyday sounds work, I don't feel this really translates very well in a competitive multiplayer game. Oftentimes, players and especially new ones can be really thrown off by the way this works. You might hear a person and think, he must be above me, right? But in reality, the predator is lurking right below you. So you give yourself away by putting attention to where you hear a sound, oftentimes resulting in death and frustration. This can be overlooked though, as it does not really break the experience for me too much, and can pretty much be, you can learn it over time how it works, and For example, say a ceiling is open and someone's made some holes in it. Sometimes the sound will bounce off walls and go through that hole, giving you the impression that somebody might be nearby, when in reality they might be 2 floors below you, or they might just be on the other side of a wall. So as you can see, this can definitely be a bit confusing for new players, but over time you can kind of just remember that this is how the game works, and you just gotta not assume that someone's always around the corner just because you hear them, because a lot of times you can get tricked up by the way this works. And as far as guns, they sound very realistic to their real life counterparts, creating a satisfying experience when firing weapons. Next up is the gameplay. Gameplay is mostly centered around close quarters combat, with an attacking team made of 5 players, having the goal of eliminating the defending team of players and completing the laid out objectives in time, and as for the defending team, having to hold out against the attack. When playing as defender or as an attacker, you will have access to multiple characters called operators. Each operator has its strengths and its weaknesses to play off. For example, the attacking operator Ashe is light on her feet and has great maneuverability, making her a great operator for getting those early kills in the beginning of a round and clearing out defenders off an objective, while also having access to a utility grenade launcher that can blow open the holes in walls, creating sight lines for you and your team, and also taking out the defending team's available utilities and traps. Trade-off though, when playing as Ashe, you are more susceptible to damage with only an armor level of the minimum. Another example of strengths and weaknesses for operators would be when playing as the defending operator Rook. You have less maneuverability with an armor level at the maximum, but having a great defensive weapon, the MP5, and the ability to deploy a armor bag for you and your teammates, giving everyone on the team a slight boost defensively. All operators have some type of supportive tool, like defensive operator Mira, and her one-way mirror that can be deployed on reinforced walls, and the attacking operator Thermite has extra impactful breach charge that is able to make openings in reinforced walls for you and the team. Communication is a big part of the game and almost essential to win. Giving callouts to team members can mean the difference between a home run in a match or a disappointing loss. There are 3 game modes available multiplayer, that being Hostage, Bomb, and Secure Area, with Bomb being the most competitive experience with multiple opportunities to secure victory, making it a more flexible experience on both sides in comparison to other game modes in my opinion. There are 3 playlists in the game, that being Ranked, Terrorist Hunt, and Casual. Next up, how does it feel to play? Rainbow Six Siege is a very satisfying experience from every kill made and every round won. Each match is an intense feeling, especially when the clock is ticking and you're the last one alive and all hope lies on your shoulders, but you manage to take out 4 opponents and win the game with your teammates screaming over the mic in praise for your accomplishments and effort. Siege feels awesome to play. My final thoughts on this review. Rainbow Six Siege has definitely come a long way from its early 2015 build of the game, and has really grown to me as my go-to game when I want an intense competitive multiplayer experience that keeps my brain going and my heart pounding. The game is definitely a buy in 2018 with a constantly changing gameplay meta, making the experience one not to miss out on. The game goes on sale all the time. You can even pick up the starter edition right now for about $15 if I'm not wrong. And there's always free weekends going on, so if you want to try the game out for the weekend and just see if you like it, and if you want to buy it, or you say you play the free weekend and you're like, I don't know about this, and it ends, you can pick the game up for $15. I mean, it's not a lot of money. I mean, you get pretty much all the base operators, I believe, of the game now, and it gives you a chance to really see if you want to invest your money into the game. But I really think, I mean, if you're really into a competitive game, you like games where they really challenge you and there's a lot of cooperation and teamwork, then this is definitely a game you should buy. I mean, the game is in a really good spot right now. It's had a lot of updates and a lot of things have changed from the very early days of the game. I mean, I remember when I first played the game, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fresh, it was new, and it was just a good experience. And the game has really, really grown. It's got a great esports scene now, so if you're one of those guys or gals that's really looking for a new esports title, then Siege is definitely the game you want to go with. I mean, you got players who used to play Counter-Strike, they're actually playing Siege now, because Siege, it just has more depth in my opinion than other competitive games out there. I mean, there's just so much that goes into it as far as your thought, your aim, and how you do certain things. I mean, for example, one of the things that, you know, creates that depth is, for example, you make a hole in a ceiling that goes to another floor that has a hole in it where you can see a door below to kill somebody that's going through. Now, honestly, that would probably be a smart play, because a lot of players aren't really looking for that type of kill hole. So there's a lot of ways you can mix up the gameplay and just play smart and play very smart, I guess, and just make satisfying kills. It's definitely a buy, and you guys should definitely pick it up if you're looking for something new. Thanks for thanks for watching my video. I really appreciate it. Go ahead and give me a subscribe if you enjoyed this content. I'm really looking to branch things out on this channel, you know, doing from gameplays, reviews, and maybe even podcasts in the future. So if you guys like my content, go ahead and click that like, comment down below what your thoughts were. I'm always looking for feedback on my videos. Appreciate you guys watching. System 32 out.